Hi everybody, welcome to the garden on this chilly fall evening. Out here we do feminism from a materialist perspective. I'm conflicted about tonight's video, but it is jam-packed and touches on so many things and is just another very juicy example of the contradictions and weirdness that's going on in the culture right now. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Please like the video if you enjoy my content and subscribe to the channel so you never miss any. And spread it around because we're trying to drag feminism kicking and screaming back into the real world, whether it likes it or not. Can't wait to show this one to you. It's dense. It's intense. Let's go.
A federal appeals court condoned a national beauty pageant's decision to ban trans women from competition. And you're not going to believe the grounds on which the court reasoned its opinion. Welcome into TYT's Overruled. I'm your legal analyst, Adrienne Lawrence.
So this is Adrienne Lawrence. She's new to the channel. This is the Young Turks Overruled, and she is their legal analyst. She was a litigator for 8 years before swapping to video journalism and eventually suing ESPN for sexual harassment in 2017. I figured this was her workplace because she wrote a book then called Staying in the Game, the playbook on sexual workplace harassment. No ambiguity there, right? Her website begins thusly. As an award-winning on-air commentator and equity advocate, Adrienne does more than just talk. In fact, she does a lot of everything, and she does it well. She does everything well, y'all. Get that. So the way she set that up is pretty perfect.
A federal appeals court condoned a national beauty pageant's decision to ban trans women from competition. And you're not going to believe the grounds on which the court reasoned its opinion.
No notes. That's exactly what it is. I just completely disagree with her on the reaction to the decision and the decision itself, because we're doing trans women and we're doing beauty pageants. And shenanigans ensue.
A 3-judge panel on the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that a Miss United States of America pageant can exclude transgender women from competition. The suit was initially brought by Anita Green, who had competed in several beauty pageants, including Miss World Universal and Miss Earth, when she was refused entry into the Miss United States of America pageant in 2019. Green argued that the pageant violated Oregon state's anti-discrimination law by denying her based on her gender identity.
They probably did. Actually, I'm pretty sure that it's illegal at the federal level to discriminate against anyone based on their gender identity, isn't it? They broke at least a federal law, or statute, or convention, or something. And I guess probably the state one too. Those two tend to follow along with one another a lot of the time. You would think that it would be a gimme, right? You'd think they'd be a shoo-in to win it, right? That's a fast.
But attorneys for the Miss United States of America pageants said the pageant program was designed to celebrate and promote natural-born women by sending a message of biological female empowerment. The pageant had several requirements for contestants, including some based on contestants' age, marital status, and gender identity.
It's troubling that anyone would consider beauty pageants to be empowering to women. If anything, obviously they reinforce the classic feminine ideal, right? That's what they're for, is to promote the classical feminine ideal in our culture. That's what beauty pageants do. And trans women in beauty pageants is sort of a nexus point of both sides of everything. These judges basically told them to go fuck themselves.
That's per the Boston Globe. And in the 2-1 decision, the Ninth Circuit sided with the pageant, contending that it would fundamentally alter the message the pageant tries to send by allowing trans women to compete.
They think that allowing trans women to attempt to embody the ideal of femininity would undermine the ideal of femininity. Yeah, it does. It's part of what makes this so interesting, because these people are not really defending us, are they? No, they're defending the idea of woman in their own heads.
As with theater, cinema, or the Super Bowl halftime show, beauty pageants combine speech with live performances, such as music and dancing to express a message. Judge Lawrence Van Dyke wrote for the majority. And while the content of that message varies from pageant to pageant, it is commonly understood that beauty pageants are generally designed to express the ideal vision of American womanhood.
This description of beauty pageants is fun, right? Legalese, man. I guess. Commonly understood that they're designed to express the ideal vision of American womanhood. See, these guys are using womanhood and femininity like they're synonymous. Because to them they are. I disagree wholeheartedly. But I'm just a woman. What do I know about it?
The attorney representing the pageant owner said that the Ninth Circuit's ruling was a matter of simple fairness.
I swear it's just going around the town in a circle. Yeah. Anyway, so I swear this concept of fairness in pageants has just felt overwrought and abused to me for the longest time, because on the one hand, of course, you want to be fair in your pageant in that within your set parameters, you want to apply them fairly. One contestant who qualifies should not be held to a much stricter standard than another qualified contestant. But you do have to qualify for stuff like that. They've had this thing where you have to include other races and you have to include disabled people and da-da-da-da-da because it's not fair. No, ideals aren't fair. And frankly, I think that beauty pageants obviously help to maintain a harmful ideal. There is such a thing, an ideal that in attempting to live up to it, you hurt yourself. We should not be promoting ideals like that. And some women are just look like that naturally, so I'm told. Most women don't look like that. Anything like, a beauty pageant winner. But that doesn't mean we're not all you know what I'm saying. There's a lid for every pot. There's a million different ways to be beautiful, etc., etc. Men can be beautiful. They just can't be women. And God forbid they not be included in everything. Right? They have to be included in everything, or they're just going to pitch an absolute fit. And they'll take you to court over it, which is just not the best way to convince people to include you in their parties, fellas.
First, how are you going to tell me that your beauty competition is meant to promote natural-born women when none of the women in that damn competition are in their natural state whatsoever? Not a damn one.
This is where I think that document a little while ago could have used a hyphen. I've noticed recently that hyphens seem to have gone out of fashion. They've been disappearing from like store signs and road signs and stuff, and internet publications. Quiet. And this is a time when a hyphen would have really come in handy, because the phrase natural born, if you hyphenate it, the natural becomes a modifier to born. So born becomes the main part there. Born naturally female. That's what that would mean. Leaving out the hyphen does make it a little confusing. So she can just take the natural part and isolate that and just deal with that, which of course is just obscuring the point of it all.
From braces to straighten teeth to Botox to straighten faces, natural is not the word that comes to mind when we talk about beauty pageants. If anything, the goal is to look as unnatural as possible to be pleasing to the eye.
You're not going to even mention all that straightened hair? I'm from Cleveland, and I kind of can't believe that you didn't even touch on that.
Many of these competitors have had, tucks, plucks, implants, or incisions to complement their contour, conceal, shade, shadow, and highlight. Get out of here. I am no dummy. None of that is natural.
None of that is natural because femininity is highly unnatural. Femininity is really not connected to womanhood in any concrete way whatsoever, which is one of the reasons that men can imitate it so well sometimes, right? They can wear the whole costume and do the whole act because that's what it is, a costume and an act. On the other hand, you know what is natural about those women? Their femaleness. They're still women regardless of what they do to themselves, unlike men.
Second, this whole message of biological female empowerment is nothing more than a nonsense way of promoting the overly simplistic idea that there are just two sexes out there. There's a far larger spectrum than this binary male-female. People really want to play with this Y chromosome thinking that this is the dividing line when that's far from accurate. And then when you add genetics in the mix, it's even more complicated.
Oh. You want to talk about nonsense? That was some grade A nonsense. Right there. You mentioned chromosomes and then you talk about bringing genetics into it. Adrienne, my dear, your chromosomes are where your genetics are. That's how they get from your parents to you, is inside the chromosomes that they pass on to you. I'm sure you would tear me to shreds in a courtroom, but I think I learned that in middle school.
I am no scientist.
You don't say.
But again, I am no dummy. Just because much of our society wants to keep things as simple as possible doesn't mean I gotta be simple-minded.
I'm not going to accuse you of being simple-minded, but you are accepting the simplistic narrative here of red versus blue, conservative versus progressive. Not all change is good, and trans is not gay. And you've fallen for something, hook, line, and sinker here, and it's... Oh, I see this so often. Some really smart women have obviously thought themselves into some pretty dark corners.
And third, how is it unfair to have trans women compete in the competition?
I think she might be onto something here.
Can she speak, sashay, and showcase her grandeur? Okay then, it sounds like she's quite qualified.
And here we get to the meat of the matter, okay? Performing femininity does not make you a woman. Failing to perform femininity does not make you not a woman. I thought we all knew this. Trans women can perform femininity flawlessly sometimes. I have met some men who are more feminine than I could ever hope to be, but like, they're still dudes. Because femininity is not materially connected to womanhood in any real way. You know, what is that whole femaleness thing wherein there's a lot of blood involved for most of us. Blood is not feminine, is it? Blood's not girly. Oh my god, oh no. Blood is gore, blood is war, blood is scary. But who is it in reality that cannot handle that kind of thing? Who is it that recoils at the sight of blood in real life a lot of the time, right, ladies? Who is it who suddenly has no more questions when you tell them that you have to go take care of some girly business? Because they don't want to know. They don't want to know because they are just blissfully entitled to live in ignorance of things that they don't like, I guess. I don't know where I'm going with this exactly. On the other hand, it took me way too long to really like absorb this myself. An embarrassingly long time. So, you know, I can't blame people. This is obviously a very confused young man who thinks that he needs to be able to enter women's beauty pageants. Why don't we just have men's beauty pageants? What the fuck happened to drag queens? You know, that is, and this is an unpopular opinion, but that is why I always did enjoy a funny drag queen. Because they demonstrate so beautifully how femininity and all of that nonsense is not connected to womanhood at all. If they can stand there and do it, I mean, hell, they sure as shit wear thigh-high stockings better than I do. They always roll right off of me. But the fact that they can prance around and, you know, give the effect of the woman-coded role. You know, I think I said this in the last video. How exactly can woman be both a material reality and a gender? Believe it or not, we're going to get there too.
Trans women are women, hard stop. But as far as I'm concerned, I can tell you today that Miss Anita Green is a winner in my book. But I know those are just my thoughts. You let me know your comments in the comments below.
No, that's right. We already got there. It's so jam-packed, this thing. So let's rewind just a touch.
Green argued that the pageant violated Oregon state's anti-discrimination law by denying her based on her gender identity.
So they've taken these pageant people to court over discrimination based on gender identity. All right.
This whole message of biological female empowerment is nothing more than a nonsense way of promoting the overly simplistic idea that there are just two sexes out there.
Aren't we all dancing around the point that sex and gender are supposed to be two completely different and separate things? How can you be accusing someone of discriminating against you based upon your gender identity and have their defense be about biological sex and have no one go, wait, that's not even what we're talking about? You know, unless they're the same thing. Because everybody fucking understands what we're talking about. I suppose that gives me some hope, really. If they can try and obfuscate the matter so deeply with all this weird word usage. And somehow still, she's just conflating them, just like everyone else does. We've gone from talking about gender identity to talking about how there are more than just two sexes in 2 minutes. With no segue. Again, like, just treating them as if they are the same. And yet, you can somehow be a male woman. Make that make sense. And then you have these conservative judges. I guess you could call them activist judges, because they looked at the law and went, didn't they?
And in the 2-1 decision, the Ninth Circuit sided with the pageant, contending that it would fundamentally alter the message the pageant tries to send by allowing trans women to compete.
Yeah, because they apparently really like the fact that these beauty pageants promote classical femininity, which they just will not let die, as if classical femininity somehow went out of fashion, as if women would actually cease to exist. That's how these men behave, which is absurd, right? Of course, it's absurd. Women have existed throughout human history. Call us whatever you want. So this was a dense little nugget from the Young Turks sort of family of programs, channels. I don't know that I've ever watched Adrienne before, but I sure did enjoy this. It just hit us from all sides, didn't it? Thank you so much for joining me out here on this chilly night in the garden, doing feminism from a materials perspective with you. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.